Obstacle avoidance is how the robot interacts with its environment. The Navimow X450 does not have LiDAR. It relies solely on its camera array, which has the cameras in the front and the side. It also uses its front bumper as a safety mechanism. In case it hits something, it will stop the mower. Now, this is important to know because our other robots have LiDAR, which is a sort of like a light-emitting sonar or radar system, and can look around and see the world in 3D. The Navimow X450 does not have that. It has to rely on its cameras. So I wanted to test and see how well that works in an environment where things move around. I have a dynamic property. I'm regularly moving my tractor and trailers and my truck throughout the property. I have dogs that leave their toys out in the yard. We have animals. We have a lot of chickens and smaller animals around the property. So I really want to make sure that the mower that we use does not run into things, does not cause any damage, and can accurately navigate a changing landscape. And the Navimow X450 has had some issues with that. Now, I do want to say up front that the Navimow has gotten a lot better. Part of that might be learning over time. I've had it going on 3 weeks now. But the other part is I'm taking a lot more time to prepare and prep, and I'm keeping vehicles out of its way. So is the Navimow's system unusable? No. It works, and if you have the right yard or the right configuration, I actually like the mower quite a bit. However, I will say on the navigation front, it is 100% behind the Luba. The Luba with LiDAR is much better. As you can see from this clip here, it is seeing a clump of grass that's standing up too tall, and that, because it's optical only, it sees that there's grass in front of it, and therefore it turns around and goes back. The Luba would just go right through that, no fears. The Luba's never once hit anything while I've had numerous contacts from the Navimow. That being said, if I had a simpler yard or used the no-go zones more often, I can configure it, and it is very reliable, very rock solid. If there's a lot of moving things in the yard, especially vehicles, etc., you might have contact. Is it the end of the world? No. But there is one thing about the Navimow system that I want to highlight, and that is its complete, or what I call its obstacle avoidance routine. You see, with LiDAR, since the Luba knows where an item is, it can just trace the outside of the item. With the vision, it seems to go into a obstacle avoidance routine where it will back up, try to go around the item at a certain angle. If that doesn't work, it tries again, it tries again, it tries again. And if it's a complicated item, that can really slow it down. It can spend 5 to 15 minutes trying to get around an item. And I've stood and watched it just be confused. So that definitely slows down the mowing when it has obstacles. However, the mower does mow much faster than the Luba in general. So again, it's a really good machine, but just be aware that its optical avoidance is not as good. And if that's something that's important to you, you might want to look at a machine with LiDAR. And here you'll see a good example of the avoidance routine dance I was talking about. This clip is right after I rescued it from being wrapped around the tongue. It was originally mowing this side of the boat trailer and mowing on a line around there when it got hung up. Now, I will note, none of this is in a no-go zone. This is one large mowable area. The right answer here would be to establish a no-go zone around the boat and around this burn pile in the middle of the yard. But I was testing. I did this specifically to see how it could handle obstacles. And here you see, rather than continuing on the path it was on, it is trying to find a new way around back to where it was mowing. And as I talk, you'll see it continually bounces against the, well, here in a second, you'll see it bounce against the wood pile as it keeps trying to find a route. The Luba would know where all of this is in 3D, would know exactly where the boat starts and stops and how to get around it. I don't think the vision fence on the Navimow has a persistent memory, and so I don't think it remembers that the boat's there. I think it takes every frame as it comes through the camera and tries to solve it one by one. Now, again, a lot of this grass is too tall. These are not mowers, they're maintainers. You're supposed to mow the grass down the first time and then it will keep it. But this is meant to be an extreme test on my farm. I want to know how well it can really hold up to pasture grass and how well it can hold up to areas that have gotten a little overgrown or I can't mow easily. And I can prep some with the weed eater and then have it go in. But I have been using no-go zones, and I have been, for the most part, keeping obstacles out of its path. It does really well with large solid obstacles. My rain barrel, it's always avoided. I had a large colored tarp on the yard that it went around, but it seems to get mostly hung up on irregular shapes. That would be the tractor, the boat trailer, this burn pile, tall grass. When it hits a clump that's too tall and it goes into this avoidance routine, it can be frustrating when you're watching it. But again, if all of this was maintained and if I had no-go zones set up, which I now have in my front yard, and areas I have it cutting elsewhere, it is an exceedingly reliable machine. I have to rescue it. I've only rescued it twice in 3 weeks. I've had to rescue the Luba twice yesterday alone, which I'd say it's been about maybe 8 rescues in 2 weeks for the Luba, but 2 rescues in 4 weeks or 3 weeks for the Navimow. So it's a great machine. I just wanted to really highlight its navigation system here because LiDAR was a big deal for me. Does it affect it or not? Are you willing to set up your yard in no-go zones or not? Or do you move trailers around? Do you want it to get around them? Or do you have a lot of things coming in your yard that you want to get around? Now, as a special note for the Navimow, I will say, I'll show a clip here in a second. It has T-posts. I've put up a horse pasture around this area, and it mows around the T-posts very well. So I don't know if it has a visual fence algorithm that it recognizes the linear fence and understands kind of what it's doing, but it actually does very well on the T-posts. And then here in this clip, what I have it do now, and for the last week and a half, it's been flawless, is maintaining the paths around the pasture. So I don't have to get on the mower or the weed eater and try to mow these thin strips. And so that's something that I find it is really useful for. The Luba does really well with this as well. But I just want to note that in some ways, the Navimow is better, and in other ways, the Luba is better. So it really comes down to these fine features, such as, is obstacle avoidance a top priority for you, or do you keep a clean yard and you can set a permanent no-go zone? What other items are really important? If you care to learn more about Navimow X4 series versus the Luba 3 series, please again subscribe, stay tuned to this channel. I'm going to be making these shorts on particular items. I have a lot of footage and I'm trying to make a longer term review, not just a week. I bought both of these with my own money and I'm seeing if they can hack it on my property. And so I'm not a professional content creator. This is just something I found there wasn't enough information about when I was searching myself. So I bought both to test them. I'm hoping to help you out and show you the ins and outs of each one. So again, thanks for watching this one, and I'll end the clip with some of the Luba going around the same obstacles that the Navimow had issues with. So here you can see it navigates the tongue without a problem. Here on this next clip, this is the area that originally caught up the Navimow. Now, forgive my fingers are pointing. I was talking on those videos and I'm doing a voiceover now. But the Navimow at that clump of grass went back and bounced between that bench and fire pit and wood pile for a long time. I don't have footage of all of it, but this perfectly got around everything without ever hitting anything. Same here. It came right up to the tractor. It recognized something was in front of it. I wondered if the gap on the back of the rotary cutter was going to make it think it had space, but it didn't. It was perfect in navigating this. Never any contact with any items that I've found. Again, I may have to rescue it occasionally if it gets dug into something, or if its wheel gets suspended on a large divot and it thinks it's an emergency stop. It's been picked up. So I go rescue it in those situations, and then I throw down a small no-go zone over that hole so it doesn't do it again. But otherwise, yeah, you can see here the Luba is properly navigating around the tractor implement. I will say that the Navimow has made contact often with items. In fact, this basketball, its first time coming across it, it hit it with its side. Not the bumper, but the side of the Navimow moved the basketball a few inches. Here you can see the Luba not just went around it, but perfectly navigated around it and then picked up the same line. The Navimow, on its next trip where it did see the basketball, went into a full avoidance routine, and was not able to seamlessly come around it and get on the next line. So again, that just goes back to seeing things in 3D and being able to know where it is spatially and get back online versus dealing with the visual camera system, which is obviously might struggle with 3D and just kind of has to look at colors and shapes and patterns to know where it's at. And I find that the LiDAR is much stronger. Thanks for watching this review, and if it was helpful, please leave a comment, give me your feedback. I want to know if other people find value in this. I know these are a little longer than others, but I hope this does show you the actual details on a real operating homestead and work for your own property. Thanks again.